Interview questions are a great way to showcase your skill set to an employer. During these interview questions, if you think of yourself as a problem solver instead of a programmer, then you'll really have a leg up over many candidates because every interview question can be solved in various ways. In today's video, we answer a question from one of our subscribers where they submitted the question, how can I transform my name into an array? Now, this is a very common question and you might see it during an interview, and I want to show you my train of thought while tackling this type of question. So let's go ahead and jump into how I would attack this question. Now on the left hand side, I'll have my code, and on the right hand side, I'll have my terminal. And I'm going to do this test on a Windows machine, but this concept also works on a Mac. I also have Node installed because that is how I'm going to be running my JavaScript program. And so the first thing I want to do is lay out the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and type out the objective, and I'm going to convert the letters in your name into an array. Now notice that this problem is vague, and usually when these problems are vague, employers are looking for a few things. First, there are dozens of different types of approaches we can take to solve this problem, and the approach we take will showcase our level of seniority to a future employer. Second, employers are looking at how you organize your workflow. And finally, employers will most likely ask for you to adjust your code after showing them your final version. So now that we have typed out the objective, I'm going to come up with a plan. So let's write out what we want to do. First thing I'm going to write out is to create a variable that holds a string value. Then I want to output the variable to the terminal. Then I'm going to convert the variable to an array. Then I'm going to sort the array. Now, normally I would add more steps here, but let's run the terminal after we finish these 4 steps. So to create a variable that holds a string, let's go up to the first task and create a new variable. We'll call it string name, and we'll give it the value of Chronicle Codes. To output the variable, let's go ahead and do a console log and put in the string name. Now, notice that I'm not using the return to output the results, and that is because I wanted to display the results in the terminal. Result does not output the results into the terminal. Then to convert the variable into an array, I'm going to use the split method, and I'm going to use a new variable. So let's go ahead and call this the array name. And I'm going to work with the string name, and I'm going to do the split. And let's add some spacing just to make it a little bit easier to read. Now, the split method does not alter the original string, and it will return a new array with each character as an element in the new array. And in order to do that, we have to pass it some quotes. And so I will do the 2 single quotes. To sort the array, we're going to be using the sort method. And so I'll go ahead and use sort. And again, I'll tab it just to make it easier to read. The sort method will sort the array with empty spaces first, then special characters, then numbers, then capital letters, then finally some lowercase letters. There are some exceptions to this special character priority, but generally speaking, this will be what you will want to see in the output. And before I run the file, let's go ahead and put the console log at the very end. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it the array name and not the string name. So if we can run the file using node and then the file name. And after we run the file, we will see that the output is there with all the characters from the name being shown inside of our array. Now, technically, this solves the problem, but like I mentioned, these questions are meant to showcase your skills. So let's keep going and show off how we can make this result look a little bit better. So I want to create a new array, and I'm going to want to call it the clean array. So I'm going to add a new task and say add a clean array to remove the duplicates. I'm also going to want to add some regex to remove the white spaces, and that will be up here inside the strings manipulation. I'll add some tasks and say add regex to remove the white spaces. And if you look at the array, we will see that there are some duplicated characters because there are some uppercase and some lowercase. And in this sample, we don't really care about the duplicated characters. So we're going to put everything in lowercase. So I'll add another task, convert all characters to lowercase. So to remove the duplicates, I'm first going to create the new variable, and let's do let clean array equal, and I'm going to go ahead and put the array name, and I'm going to be using the filter method, which will create a new array. Now the filter array takes 3 parameters where only the first parameter of current value is required. So I'm going to use the current value and the index parameter, and I'll write out array name.filter, and we'll go ahead and use that method. Inside of that method, we're going to use current and index, write that as an arrow function, and then I'm going to do array name.index of, and I'm going to use current, fix up my spelling, I'm going to use current equals index. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm using the filter method, and what the filter method is going to do is going to run through the array and check if the current value matches the index, which this is 0 based, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and it's going to filter out any values where the current position is not equal to the index. And then I'm also going to want to complete the task that we set up here, and let's see, and actually we're going to want to put this up here. And let's add some spacing and do 2 lowercase, because we have to do this up here since we're manipulating the string first. And then to remove the spaces, I'll want to manipulate the string itself. And I can do that with the replace method. So that accepts regex. So let's go ahead and add the replace method. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the quotes. And inside of there, I'm going to say I want to look for all the spaces, and I'm going to want to find them globally. And I don't want to close that off quite yet. So now if we run the code, so we saw that there's a few errors, and that's actually in the replace method. Let's put comma, and we're saying that the regex is going to be replaced with absolutely nothing. And then let's run our program. And we also need to call back the clean array, not the array name. So now let's run that program. So now that we ran our program using clean array, then you see that the output is exactly what we want, where the output returns an array that is sorted with unique letters and without any spaces. But like I said, these type of questions usually have employers asking for updates. And I could easily see a potential employer ask for this to be written as a function. And to accomplish this, I'm going to first add some spaces down below. And I'm going to go ahead and write a function, and let's call it convert to clean array. And we're going to pass it the full name. And I'm going to update my console log, so it will take the new function. And I'm going to replace full name with the string name. And then I'll move over all of the code that we wrote into the function. And let me just tab that over. And I'll do some cleanup. So I'll replace string name with full name, and then I'm going to do a return at the very bottom. And if I run my program, then you see that the function is working. And I can test this by adding different names. So if I were to put my full name and run the program again, you see that it's working with the updated values. And since I don't know the name of the interviewers, I'll just add a few other names to show that my function works. So in this case, let's go ahead and add George Washington. And here you'll see that the updated values include all the unique characters inside of that name. And we'll do one more. And then if I run that, you'll see that it has all the unique characters. And that completes our task. Like I mentioned, there are dozens of ways to solve the interview question. And don't worry if you get stuck. Most employers will allow for you to look on websites for help. Now, don't use websites like Stack Overflow that provide the answers. Instead, use websites like W3 Schools that provide more explanation and definitions of methods. If you have ran into any specific questions that you need answered, then leave a comment down below and I'll try to add it to my How To Tuesday section. So if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to the channel so you'll be notified when new videos are released. And as always, thank you for your support and keep up the hard work, and I'll see you in the next one.